McLennan-Morgan debate. McLennan-Morgan debate is one of the foundational debate in anthropology. It revolves around the origin of kinship, exogamy, and social organization. More importantly, it shaped the way anthropologists study kinship. The debate began when McLennan published Primitive Marriage in 1865. In this book, McLennan argued that early human society was characterized by harsh struggle for survival. Since male hunters were considered more valuable, many societies practiced female infanticide, creating a shortage of women. To obtain wives, men had to capture women from neighboring tribes. This practice gradually became institutionalized as marriage by capture, and over time, this gave rise to exogamy. According to McLennan, as women were shared among several men, in polyandrous relationships, biological paternity was uncertain. Consequently, the earliest form of descent was matrilineal, which later on evolved into patrilineal descent and finally into monogamous type of marriages. He further maintained that exogamy and endogamy are two mutually exclusive principles. A society, according to him, was either exogamous or endogamous. L.H. Morgan rejected McLennan's explanation in his book, The Systems of Consanguinity and the Affinity of the Human Family. He argued that female infanticide and wife capture were not universal phenomena and therefore could not explain the origin of exogamy everywhere. Instead, Morgan believed that human society evolved through successive stages: savagery, barbarism, and civilization. Similarly, family organization evolved from promiscuity to group marriage and eventually into monogamous family. Unlike McLennan, Morgan argued that exogamy emerged through conscious social regulation. According to him, clans prohibited marriage within the clan to prevent incest and regulate social relations. Morgan cited evidence from Hawaiian kinship systems, where classificatory kinship terminology reflected earlier forms of group marriage. The most intense disagreement between the two scholars was about the kinship terminology. Morgan argued that kinship terms are windows into the past of a society. They are fossilized records preserving evidence of earlier marriage systems and blood relationships. For example, classificatory kinship terminology suggested that during an earlier stage of a group marriage, a child's biological father could not always be individually identified. Therefore, kinship terminology could be used to reconstruct the evolution of family and marriage. McLennan dismissed Morgan's interpretation. He argued that using kinship terminology to reconstruct biological history of a society was utterly unscientific. According to him, kinship terms are simply expressions of respect and social utility and are not at all evidence of ancient marriage systems. Morgan fired back on this response. Morgan responded forcefully in his book Ancient Society. He argued that McLennan had completely misunderstood the nature of clans. Morgan criticized McLennan's theory of universal polyandry as speculative and unsupported by ethnographic evidence. He further argued that every society he studied was both exogamous as well as endogamous simultaneously. Thereby, exogamy and endogamy were not contradictory, rather they operated at different levels of social organization within the same society. McLennan-Morgan debate transformed anthropology by shifting the attention from speculation to systematic analysis of kinship. McLennan introduced influential concepts such as exogamy, endogamy, marriage by capture, and totemism, whereas Morgan laid the foundation of modern kinship studies through his comparative analysis of kinship terminology and clan organization. Although later anthropologists criticized both of these scholars for their unilinear evolutionary assumptions, their debate remains one of the most influential discussions in the history of anthropology.